There is a movement in the backswing which so many golfers make, which completely ruins so many of the things that you're trying to do. In this video, we're going to tell you what that is, give you a simple drill to fix it, and it's going to help you play some better golf. So we're talking about a backswing move that so many golfers do, kind of gets them really out of sync, makes everything they're trying to do on the downswing really difficult. And they're possibly not really looking in the right place for it, something that many golfers don't often pull out as something they would need to work at. Just before we dive into this video, just drop into the comments box. I'd love to hear, what are you working on in your golf swing, specifically the backswing? Are there any things that you found that really made the difference to your game? Maybe it was a takeaway fix, or maybe it was a rotational thing, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you're working on in your golf swing that's really helped you play some better golf. So let's dive into this. What is this move that so many golfers make? Well, it is a rotation through the shoulders, which is too flat. The lead shoulder gets too level with the trail shoulder. Let me show what that would look like. Just for simplicity, I'm going to take away the golf club for this, but it will be when the golfer rotates and the shoulders become far too flat, such as this. Now, very often, that's a result of them not moving their hips and their knees particularly well. But what it does is it often links quite closely to a golfer who tends to shift off the ball, so their head moves a little bit away from the target. And it effectively means that their body is not rotating on an angle which reflects where the ball is. This shoulder turn would be absolutely fine if the ball was sort of out at this level, but it's not, it's on the ground. So when the ball is on the ground or close to the ground, we have to rotate the body on an angle which reflects that. Now, what we'll often find is that when the golfers who make this flat turn do so, they will often then lift the club or try and move the club into the desired position at the top, because the flat shoulder turn won't get the club into the right position. It'll often send the golf club too flat. And then they look at it on camera, see the club isn't in the right position, and then they'll tend to want to lift it in here. The problem would be, even if they got that club into a pretty nice spot at the top, typically because the shoulders are too flat going back, they will start to then tip them down towards the golf ball to recover the body angles, and suddenly the golf club has ended up in a very, very steep position. So having the golf club positioned correctly at the top is not much use if the body's not positioned correctly, because the body, as I said, then will try and recover, and that changes the golf club. It gets way too steep and we just get really out of sync. So a flat shoulder turn is either going to give you a very flat swing, which is no good, or it means that you try and lift the club into the top, and then we get very, very out of sync with our body and our arms. Really simple drill and a concept here which can really help. Take your address around a golf ball into posh that you'd be from midline, and just put your arms out to the side. Now, if I said to a golfer, I want you to rotate, it wouldn't be uncommon to see them do this. And you can see how what's really happened is my hands have stayed at the same height and they've just kind of rotated. If I do that little exercise with a golfer and I see that, straight away I'm thinking concept isn't quite right. It doesn't matter, you know, whether they can move in the right way or not, because their concept's incorrect. They're not trying to do the right thing. A good golfer who rotates well, who understands the rotation, if you ask them from here to rotate, would do something more like this. And what you'll notice is that my lead hand has gone down towards the golf ball, my trail hand has gone away from the golf ball, and I've had to support that through an angle through my hips and an angle through my knees, as well as my knees changing flex. So with this rotation was a little bit more lead side towards the ball, trail side away from the ball. Lead side towards the ball, trail side away from the ball, as opposed to this rotation, which for many golfers would be their natural movement. So the first thing I'm going to do when I see this golf with a flat shoulder turn is talk to them very much about, from setup, what we're actually trying to do is don't think of it as a rotation. Think about your lead side, that's your shoulder, your hip and your knee, moving down in towards the golf ball, and your trail side, your knee, your hip and your shoulder, moving up away from the golf ball. That's a much, much better way for me to think about this move into my golf swing. Because what that's going to do is it's going to keep me on this nice angle, and it's going to help me create much better body angles and shapes as I get up to the top. If I do this correctly, it should enable me to keep my head really nice and still. If I turn to level, you're going to see that head move quite considerably off the golf ball. So straight away strike is going to be really difficult because I've got to move back to the golf ball. And then obviously the golf club's going to react in some different ways, and just not many good things happen from there. So once we have that concept, we can then go ahead when the ball's there. So I still have the same idea, and the concept of my lead side is going to move down in towards that golf ball, and the trail side is going to extend and move away from the golf ball. You're going to find it helps you stay very centered, which is a really key part to ball striking. The more that we shift away from the target, just the more work we've got to do to try and get back. So it really helps us to keep centered. And as we've already spoken about, it helps us rotate on this good angle. And if you're someone who has seen your golf club a little bit too flat in the backswing, it's very often due to the fact that your shoulders have turned too flat. As I change my shoulder angle, that's also going to get reflected in what the golf club does as well. So it really helps to set the golf club on the right angle. It really helps us stay centered. It's just lots of good things can happen from there. So from there, I can absolutely just go ahead and just make some little swings. But the first process would really do that with a little pause. So I'm going to go lead side in, trail side away, and then just clip it off the tee peg. And that's a really good way for me to start that process and start to learn and understand a little bit better on how I should rotate my body, how I should turn my shoulders, the angle I should turn them on, and how to stay a little bit more centered. Obviously, once you feel a little bit more comfortable with that, you can add the speed in, start to blend it together a little bit. But I really advise you looking at this in your golf swing, making sure your shoulders are turning the right angle. It is something which we tend to see the pros do exceptionally well. And as the handicaps start to creep up, we see the shoulder angle get more level and level and level. So it's something which really correlates quite strongly to a golfer's handicap and ability to play the game on the course. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below. Like button down there, comments box as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that link. I really believe these videos can help you play some better golf. Thanks for watching.